The film begins with John Chapman, a former U.S. Marine haunted by the scars of war and battling post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Alone and drinking, he reflects on the comrades he's lost, his mind heavy with grief. In a moment of despair, he plays a game of Russian roulette, seemingly ready to end it all. But fate intervenes, there's no bullet in the chamber, and the moment slips away. The next scene unfolds in a convenience store, where John Chapman stands in front of the liquor shelf, trying to drown his pain in alcohol. Without warning, two armed robbers storm in. One of them points a handgun straight at John, but the former Marine remains unfazed. His eyes are calm, almost hollow. He seizes the weapon, places the barrel in his mouth, and dares the robber to pull the trigger. The bold, unnerving gesture leaves the gunman stunned, while his partner frantically urges him to shoot. Drawing on the courage and instincts of a former Marine, John Chapman takes down both robbers, recovers the stolen money, and returns it to the grateful store owner. But back home, the real fight begins his battle with PTSD. Alone in the darkness, he struggles to breathe, haunted by memories he can't outrun. He pushes himself through grueling workouts, desperate for distraction. Then, a sudden knock at the door jolts him. When he opens it, he finds his sister, Cindy, standing there. They soon sit together at the dinner table, sharing a rare moment of warmth and connection amidst the turmoil. The next day, Cindy notices that John hasn't been taking his prescribed medication for PTSD. When she brings it up, he brushes it off with a calm, "I'm fine," and admits bluntly that he hates the pills. Deflecting the concern, he shifts the focus to her, asking if she's doing okay. Cindy responds with a reassuring smile, insisting everything's fine, but her posture and uneasy expression betray her. Beneath the surface, it's clear she's carrying worries of her own, ones she can't quite hide. The next day, Cindy boards a flight back to Brazil. The story then shifts to a tense new scene, where a young child from the slums leads two police officers, one of them being Katarina, to a secluded beach. There, they find Cindy, brutally beaten and covered in blood, barely clinging to life. Katarina quickly calls for an ambulance, her voice urgent as she orders help. Meanwhile, across the ocean, John receives a devastating call from Ridley, a fellow veteran and former teammate. Ridley tells him that Cindy has been violently attacked, and in that moment, something in John snaps. Rage surges through him. John wastes no time, he's on the first flight to Brazil. In the following scene, Katarina is seen handing out soft drinks to residents of the slums, offering a brief moment of peace. But that calm shatters as gunshots echo through the narrow streets. She and her partner spring into action, rushing toward the source of the chaos. There, Detective Santo and Baroro have just apprehended a group of suspects. But before they can secure the area, the atmosphere shifts, the crowd erupts in fury. Within moments, the officers find themselves surrounded, outnumbered, and outgunned as several in the crowd raise their weapons, tensions teetering on the edge of all-out violence. Santo proposes a deal to defuse the explosive standoff. Each side will choose their strongest fighter for a one-on-one match. If the police lose, they'll release the arrested suspects and withdraw. But if they win, they'll continue their search until Cindy's attacker is brought to justice. The crowd agrees, and the tense arrangement sets the stage for a high-stakes showdown between Detective Carlos Baroro and the slum's fiercest fighter. With calm precision and unmatched skill, Baroro dominates the fight, claiming a swift victory. As the police prepare to leave, Santo addresses the crowd, firmly assuring them they will be back, and they won't stop until the truth is uncovered. John later meets with Manny and Santo, and the two agree to have the former Marine team up with Detective Katarina to investigate the attack. Not long after, John heads to the hospital to visit Cindy. As he enters her room, he notices an Asian nurse administering an IV injection filled with a suspicious-looking substance. He hesitates, watching in silence. Moments later, Cindy begins convulsing violently, her body racked by seizures. Doctors rush in and work frantically to stabilize her. When Joan questions them about the nurse, they're stunned there's no record of any Asian nurse on staff. The truth hits hard. Someone had infiltrated the hospital, and it was a deliberate attempt to finish what was started. John arrives at the beach where Cindy was found and begins combing through the scene for clues. As he surveys the area, he spots a young man lingering nearby, wearing a necklace that immediately catches his eye. He recognizes it as Cindy's. His instincts on high alert, John confronts the young man, demanding to know where he got it. But before the conversation can go any further, tensions flare, and a scuffle breaks out with a few low calls. Once the dust settles, the truth finally emerges. The young man named Kaka was someone Cindy had helped during her time in the slums. The necklace wasn't stolen, it was a gift, a symbol of gratitude and the bond they had formed. John later comes into possession of Cindy's diary, only to find that several pages have been suspiciously torn out. Refusing to let the truth stay hidden, he carefully uses sandpaper to uncover the faint imprints left behind on the previous pages. His efforts pay off. The recovered writing leads him to a mysterious phone number. John makes the call and sets up a meeting with the man on the other end, someone named Bruno. During their tense conversation, Bruno reveals a startling truth. Cindy had been secretly investigating the disappearances of sex workers in the slums, using the trust and connections she had built within the community to dig deeper into a dangerous web. Cindy had set up a meeting with someone who could provide crucial information about the situation. At the same time, she had asked Bruno, a photographer she had worked with previously, to take photos of the encounter. Bruno explained that he had handed Cindy the original pictures but kept copies for his own protection. However, John had stolen the copies. As Bruno entered his car, it exploded without warning, leaving John injured by the blast. Amidst the chaos, John's eyes caught sight of an Asian woman nearby, one who looked eerily similar to the nurse he had seen earlier. She fled in a car, with John hot on her trail. But during the pursuit, he was ambushed by a group of armed assailants. Despite the odds, John fought back with relentless determination, forcing the gunmen to retreat in their vehicle. Meanwhile, John and Manny turned their attention to the photos John had managed to safeguard. As they carefully examined the images, a chilling realization began to form. The Yakuza might be linked to the case. John and Manny headed to a nightclub known to have ties with the Yakuza, determined to investigate the man in the photos who had been seen striking a deal with Cindy. Once inside, John chose to confront the man directly, DJ Lima. Under pressure, Lima confessed to being a smuggler and revealed that Cindy had caught him in the act of a transaction and had confronted him about it. Unfortunately for Cindy, Lima's client had also been keeping a close eye on the situation and could very well be responsible for the attack on her. In a bid to help, Lima gave John information on where to find this elusive client, prompting John to decide to team up with Manny for further investigation. Meanwhile, Santo launched a ruthless raid on the slums, going after every wanted criminal. His team of assassins carried out a merciless massacre, coldly killing countless people without a hint of remorse. Following Lima's directions, John arrived at a lavish mansion, immediately taken aback by its ostentatious display of wealth. He noticed a group of people who appeared to be part of the elite, wielding significant power. Among them, his eyes landed on the influential Asian woman he had encountered earlier. As he surveyed the scene, one of the guards approached and escorted him to a back balcony. From this vantage point, John watched as a black truck pulled up, unloading several young girls who were being escorted into the mansion. Among the girls, John was horrified to recognize Maria, Kaka's sister. Before he could react, a guard attacked him, but John's marine training kicked in, allowing him to swiftly overpower the assailant. Meanwhile, in the slums, a keen-eyed police officer noticed a Japanese man about to board a black truck. Sensing something was off, he ordered the man to halt and quickly radioed for backup from his fellow officers. Santo and Baroro arrived at the scene just as the police were briefing the situation. In a shocking turn, Santo unexpectedly aimed his gun at the young officer and shot him in the head, leaving everyone in stunned silence. The truth then came to light. Santo and Bororo were actually collaborating with the Japanese woman who had tried to assassinate Cindy. In a jaw-dropping twist, it was revealed that Santo's raid wasn't meant to eliminate criminals, but to silence anyone who might have been able to provide Cindy with crucial information about the sex trafficking ring they were running. The Yakuza had hired Santo to eliminate any leads that could expose their operations. The mysterious Japanese woman informed him that his payment would be waiting for him at the dock. Meanwhile, at the villa, guards relentlessly pursued John after he uncovered the location where the kidnapped victims were being held. At the same time, the cold-blooded boss, Haramoto, issued an order to the Yakuza woman she was to complete her mission at the hospital by eliminating Cindy once and for all. At the same time, Haramoto coldly interrogated Lima before ending his life with a swift strike of a sharp sword. Turning to Santo and Bororo, he informed them that John was becoming a serious threat to his operations. The two detectives immediately vowed to handle the situation. Meanwhile, John found himself cornered by the guards at the brothel. But with his exceptional skills, he quickly turned the tables, taking down the attackers with brutal efficiency. Santo and Bororo arrived at the scene in no time, and John tried to explain the situation. Just as Santo was about to take lethal action, Katarina and her team arrived, halting the betrayal. In response, John led the group to the location where the children were being held, but to his shock, the room was entirely empty. Turning to John, Santo demanded he hand over the sensitive shipping documents he had in his possession. John reluctantly agreed to cooperate, unaware at the time of the connection between Santo and the Yakuza. As he left the hotel to carry out the task, a growing sense of suspicion began to take hold, and he soon realized that a larger plot was unfolding, with Santo at its center. Deciding to follow his instincts, John trailed the detective to the docks. Meanwhile, a Yakuza assassin was preparing to kill Cindy, but she narrowly escaped death thanks to the timely intervention of Officer Katarina. Upon reaching the docks, John uncovered a chilling sight: a group of mercenaries, including Santo, Bororo, and Haramoto, preparing to ship illegal goods to Japan. John immediately called Manny Ridley to update him on the situation and request backup, but cautioned him not to use the radio, as Santo might be a double agent. After hanging up, John entered the warehouse, where he confronted a group of thugs. With a remarkable display of combat prowess, he swiftly took down each one with powerful kicks and precision. Soon after, Santo and Bororo appeared, launching an attack on him. However, John managed to overpower Santo, pinning him under a pile of crates, leaving him unable to fight back. Soon after, John found himself face-to-face with Bororo, an exceptionally dangerous opponent. The ensuing battle was fierce, with intense exchanges between the detective and the former Marine. Bororo demonstrated remarkable strength and agility, but John's determination never wavered, and he ultimately subdued him. Just as John gained the upper hand, Santo broke free and charged at him. However, the seasoned soldier swiftly and decisively defeated Santo, ending the threat in a flash. Bororo and Santo rose simultaneously, and as John focused on both of them, he narrowly avoided a surprise attack from Haramoto, who had sneaked up behind him. With quick reflexes, John dodged Haramoto's sword in a spectacular move, then launched a counterattack, taking on all three of them. A fierce battle ensued as they attacked him from all sides, putting John in a dangerous position and cornering him. Undeterred, he delivered a series of brutal punches to Santo, breaking his ribs. At the same time, John managed to drive Santo's knife into Bororo's leg, knocking him off balance. John then squared off with Haramoto. Using his Marine Corps training, he wielded two ceramic rods as makeshift clubs and fought fiercely against the Yakuza boss, who was as skilled with a sword as any seasoned warrior. Though Haramoto landed a blow on John, the former Marine quickly regained control, forcing the Yakuza boss to his knees. In a last-ditch effort, Haramoto drew a gun and fired at John, chillingly telling him that his sister had fought back harder. Those words ignited a fire of rage within John. Consumed by rage, John unleashed a rapid series of devastating blows on Haramoto. Though the Yakuza boss attempted to rise, John showed no mercy, firing several shots until Haramoto collapsed. As he lay dying, Santo denied any involvement in the attack on Cindy and handed John a key containing vital incriminating evidence. In his final moments, Santo requested a gun, seeking to end his own life. John agreed, and with the assistance of the Marines, he successfully rescued the kidnapped victims and brought them to safety. When the police arrived, they found Cindy awake and recovering, though her head injury was severe and would require years to heal. Later, at a coffee shop, Ridley suggested that John take a position as a special agent for the Department of State, an offer he accepted, knowing it would allow the government to care for his sister. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to turn on notifications and leave a like to support the channel.